Everybody here. I'll call the meeting to order. Everyone has had a chance to look at the consent calendar.
Let's take roll first off.
Oh, let's take roll. Okay.
Mr. Hartwig, Mr. Mulligan,
Here.
Mr. Robertson,
Here.
Dr. Goodwin,
Here.
Mr. Soldani. We have quorum.
I was saying we have take a look at the consent calendar if you haven't, and note if you have any corrections or additions to the consent calendar that you want to make. If not, I will take a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And do we want to?
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Soldani.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so all people who are planning to testify today, please stand, raise your right hand so that you could be sworn in. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the matters pending before this hearing board today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
So we'll call the first petitioner, which is, both of these are Guardian Industry. If you could please identify yourselves and spell your names.
My name is Nico Martinez, Nico Martinez, Martinez, and I'm the hot end manager at Guardian Industries in Kingsburg.
Will you spell your name for us? Your first and last name, please.
JANAINAQUINTILIANO.
This is docket number C2421S, short variance from Guardian Industries. And I'll now turn the matter over to staff so they can give us a staff report.
Yes, good morning. My name is Will Kuhn, and I am an air quality specialist here at the district. And before you today is Guardian Industries LLC, and Guardian operates a float glass manufacturing operation consisting of a 212 MMBTU an hour natural gas fired glass melting furnace with the associated emission control system, consisting of a dry scrubber, electrostatic precipitator, and selective catalytic reduction unit. A float glass furnace operates continuously for 15 to 25 years without stopping. Therefore, electrostatic precipitator cleaning, inspection, and associated repairs must be performed during normal furnace operation while bypassing the emission control system. District Rule 4354 and Permit C-598-4-21 allow furnace operation to continue while bypassing the emission control system for up to 144 hours per year during routine maintenance and emission systems. Guardian has 96.2 hours remaining. Both the rule and permit exempt the facility from emission limits for NOx, SOx, VOCs, CO, and PM during the 144 hours. The facility-wide permit C-598-0-6 does not include the same allowance and thus does not allow for periods of excess opacity that may occur while the emission control system is bypassed and undergoing maintenance. The highest opacity level anticipated for this variance is 95%. During transition to and from bypass mode and during cleaning and maintenance activities, accumulated dust is loosened from the interior surfaces of ducts, dampers, the scrubber, electrostatic precipitator, and selective catalytic reduction units. Some of the dust can become entrained in the exhaust stream and blown out the stack where it is detected by the facility's continuous opacity monitoring system. resulting in potential exceedances of the opacity limit in the C-598-0-6 permit. After cleaning the emission control system, the facility must then clean the comms and optical stack flow meter to ensure that no material has accumulated on their lenses, leading to erroneous readings. Guardian has requested a short variance from the applicable requirements of District Rules 1080, 2070, 2201, 2520, 4101, and 4354, and California Health and Safety Code Section 41701, in addition to the applicable conditions of the subject permits. The requested short variance will be from October 1st, 2024 to December 20th, 2024. If granted, the variance would allow the continued operation of the glass melting furnace and continued glass production while bypassing the emission control system and monitoring systems, so Guardian can perform the maintenance on the EP and ancillary equipment. In addition, the variance will allow excess visible emissions during the bypass. It is beyond the reasonable control of the petitioner to keep the EP operational at all times. In order to complete the maintenance, it is necessary to bypass the emissions control equipment because a glass melting furnace is designed to run continuously for a multi-year campaign. Requiring compliance would require the glass furnace to shut down and stop production, and this would result in the closing and elimination of a lawful business. The district believes the required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that Guardian be granted a short variance with the conditions on pages 4 and 5. And this concludes the district's presentation.
So I will now ask if the petitioners have anything they would like to add, any comments, anything you want to emphasize.
How's that? Okay. So apologies, I have them backwards, but this is annual maintenance. So we are going into a bypass to do general cleaning, inspecting of mechanics, fans, gearboxes, that kind of thing. If you also recall, last year about this time, we talked about a December 23 project where we were installing new diffuser plate walls. This will be our first opportunity to actually go in and look at those and see if they have given us the improvements that we looked for. The results of this year that we have not been in bypass more than I think just once is an indicator that that's actually performing very well for us. So this is an opportunity to actually validate that as well.
And the 95% or greater opacity, you're expecting to not last more than how many minutes?
It's a little hard to say. Typically, that only happens when we're actually going into bypass. The process of going into bypass, if you can imagine, a series of dampers are opening and closing. And so as the airflow is changing the turbulence, it can kick up some of that dust, creating the opacity. So it should only be a matter of minutes. The entire process to go into and out of bypass takes 15 to 30 minutes at times, depending on specific instances of transition.
I believe here it said that you were only going to have about greater 95 or greater for about four minutes.
Yeah, that's historical results. I'm talking worst case scenario.
Oh, okay. And where are you in your campaign? How many years?
About 16 years.
Oh, okay. So I will ask the staff if they have any questions or comments. I mean, the hearing board members.
I have a question of staff, probably more procedural than anything. These are two separate items. It's the same facility. It appears to be two separate applications. Is there any reason why they couldn't be combined into one application, or what's the reason for the two separate applications?
I can adjust that. It's simply due to manpower. The people responsible for completing both activities, it's the same team. And we also have to work with contractors, different contractors to support both activities. So we literally do not have the bandwidth to complete both activities at the same time.
So then is the difference that they cover different time periods?
That is correct.
Any reason why that couldn't be handled in one application?
So, yeah, if I can, historically, the checker burn aspect, the data tells us that we have not actually violated compliance, but there is a risk to the opacity. With the actual ECS bypass maintenance cleanout event, that certainly has violated aspects of our permit limits. So because on one hand, we believe we can execute without any issue, we are just requesting for the variance to be covered by the district. On the other project, historically, we know we have exceeded certain limits. So we're asking for that to be under a separate variance request.
Okay.
Yeah, with the downtime.
So that was your request then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
We discussed it internally and then they wanted separate and we felt that was best. If that's what they wanted. I appreciate your question.
What's the total time you expect for this maintenance?
The maintenance of the
Yes.
ECS bypass, we're requesting the full 90-something
96.
hours. We anticipate 72 hours.
This campaign is in 16 years, it used to be like 10 years, when it was like, yeah, right?
So in the 60s and 70s, when the float glass process was early, the furnaces were built for about 8 or 10 years. In the 30, 40 years since then, the technologies have gotten better. Furnaces are built for about 18 to 20 years. So in 2008, this furnace was constructed for a 16-year campaign with a stretch goal of 18 years. Now in the industry, the new 16 is 20 with a stretch of 22.
So that stretch doesn't affect the buildup or the
No.
thing what you're saying.
As long as we're continuing our annual maintenance as we're actively discussing right now, then all things should stay steady.
Questions or comments? Anything from the public? Is anyone from the public?
There appears to be no public comments and no comments on Zoom.
Entertain a motion from the board.
I move to approve Guardian Industries petition for a short variance set forth in docket number C-24-21S with the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted by reference as set forth in the staff report. Variance shall be effective from October 1, 2024 to December 20th, 2024, or until the maintenance has been completed and the emissions control system has been returned to compliant operation, whichever occurs first, and shall be subject to the conditions on pages 4 to 5 of the staff report.
A second.
Take a vote.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Soldani.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Needed that one, and then we'll move on to your second. This is C-24-22S for a short variance by Guardian Industries LLC. For the staff report.
Yes, good morning once again. My name is Will Kuhn and I'm an air quality specialist here at the district. And this is another variance for Guardian Industries LLC, which operates a 212 MMBTU an hour float glass furnace with associated emission control systems. The furnace induction and exhaust system includes a pair of regenerators consisting of a checkerboard pattern of refractory. The regenerator absorbs heat to help lower exhaust temperatures to a range suitable for treatment in downstream portions of the emission control system. Every 20 minutes, the regenerator reverses and the exhaust becomes the intake. As flue gases pass over the regenerator packs on the exhaust side, sulfates and other products of combustion build up on the refractory surface. This has the effect of both insulating the refractory from efficient heat transfer and causing mechanical damage through thermal stress caused by differences in surface temperatures. Maintenance is performed by adding 2 auxiliary natural gas-fired burners. The burners allow the regenerator pack to reach temperatures of approximately 2,000 degrees, allowing the sulfates and other contaminants to melt away from the regenerator, where they are later cleaned out. The burners are moved manually from port to port until the entire checker pack is cleaned. This typically takes 8 days of continuous burn to completely clean the regenerators on both sides of the furnace. This operation is typically conducted annually, although the frequency of cleanings increases as the furnace ages. Guardian has requested a short variance from the applicable requirements of District Rules 1080, 2010, 2070, 2201, 2520, 4101, and 4354, and California Health and Safety Code Section 41701, in addition to the applicable conditions of the subject permits. The requested short variance would be for a consecutive 10-day period to occur sometime between October 1st, 2024 and October 30th, 2024 inclusive. If granted, the variance would allow the continued operation of the regenerative glass melting furnace and glass manufacturing with excess NOx, SOx, CO, and visible emissions while the work is performed. Guardian has estimated that excess emissions during the variance period will not exceed 2,000 pounds of CO, 2,000 pounds of NOx, and 2,000 pounds of SOx. If the emission control equipment is bypassed, then excess visible emissions could be up to 95% opacity. The closing or taking would be without a corresponding benefit in reducing air contaminants, as the furnace would have to be shut down. The proposed sulfate burn-off is expected to take 10 days. The shutdown of the furnace would take several days, and the startup would take several weeks, and the shutdown could result in damage to the furnace as well. The district believes the required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that Guardian be granted a short variance with the conditions on pages 4 and 5. And this concludes the district's presentation.
Petitioner, do you have anything to add or comment on?
Sorry. Typically, we try and do this checker burn in the springtime. However, this year we've taken a slightly different approach and trying to be more cost effective, paying attention to the price of natural gas. So we avoided it this spring to try and do it in the fall. Timing is a little bit tight now compared to our other variants that we're discussing as well. But the concept here is we've optimized the price of gas. This is an annual maintenance event to sustain our good operating procedures and maintain compliance. So it is rather standard for us.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments?
Apologies, if I could add something else to the question of the years of campaign. It is worth noting that as the furnace gets older, there may be a need to do this more than once per year. So in future years, we may be having this discussion twice.
Right, because I was gonna ask that after our last discussion. Thank you for that
Yeah.
information.
And since it's, by my count, it seems that maybe you only have a few years left. Do you have plans in the works for a replacement facility?
I wish I had more information for that, but definitely there's very high level conversation within the company right now. Those kinds of decisions are made at the corporate level. We're essentially looking at between 2028 and 2030 for a furnace rebuild.
These auxiliary burners used for this cleaning, is that the only time they run?
Yes.
Is during this time? And how many are there?
2, 1 per side.
Are those brought in? Are they existing?
Existing as well as brought in. Our current existing ones are not fully functional. So the burners that are being brought in meet the same permit standards. They're actually owned and operated by the contractors that we work with.
Have you reviewed the conditions of the variance and you feel that you comply with all conditions without a problem?
I'll defer to my colleague here, but yes.
Yeah.
And the same with the prior variance, you reviewed all of that and feel you can comply. Okay, any members of the public?
No members of the public and no comments on Zoom.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion on this particular variance.
I'll move to approve Guardian Industries LLC petition for a short variance set forth in docket number C-24-22S. With the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted by reference as set forth in the staff report. The variance shall be effective for a consecutive 10-day period to occur sometime between October 1, 2024 and October 30, 2024, inclusive or until the regeneration burn off work is completed, whichever occurs first and shall be subject to conditions on pages 4 and 5 of the staff report.
Second.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Saldani. Motion passes.
I can see their stacks from my house. What, 2 miles north?
Any public comments on anything that we've done?
No public comments and no comments on Zoom.
And any hearing board member comments of anything?
We would like.
Yeah, we were talking about the public comments that were made last meeting. Any update on that regarding the construction at Riverstone and the dust problem?
When I asked last week whether or not we had received any other information, we have not received information from the residents that I'm aware of. The meeting is tomorrow. So if people decide to show up, I do know that the compliance team was looking into it and we were going to have inspectors go out there.
Yeah, it led to a lot of investigation and
Real.
yeah, so one of our senior staff put together a very big report for our director with the summation of all the complaints and all the activities, and we met with Lennar multiple times, so I think we have it dialed in pretty well.
It's good. Glad you're working with it.
That's nice. As it is a response.
Even though they came to the wrong venue, they did prompt all the actions that they would have gotten if they'd have gone to the other meeting.
So you see a lot of progress and real solution at the end.
It sounds like it. Lennar was, we met with them and they were pretty aware of some of the concerns with some of the residents. And it's still about another year or so for the project, but they're really cognizant of it. They're doing above and beyond what their dust control plan requires, so hopefully it works out. I understand both sides, if I was a housing project in my established community, it can be annoying, but we just can enforce what we regulate, can't enforce that you're annoyed that a housing development moved in next to your established neighborhood.
Are you receiving any other complaints up in that?
No,
the developments
after,
either?
no, there was a series of them, but it's all been, we haven't received any recently. So,
Well, it is a concern with the combination of COVID, valley fever is much bigger problem. So
sure,
they
and
have a
Valley,
valid concern.
Valley fever's gotten more, been talked about in the media, recently quite a bit.
Right after they were here, there was a big article.
I know, it's like great.
Perfect timing.
Our pictures weren't there, were they?
No.
Oh, good.
Just go into the
There is an
yard.
unconcerned board.
Yeah.
So great. I'm glad that it's going well. Any new business that the board wants to bring up? So we can adjourn. And our next meeting will be October 16th, 2024.